James has been looking online at all of the reaction, and there is an awful lot of reaction. If you turn on the TV or the radio here in France today, you will literally just hear Johnny Hallyday, right?
Absolutely. There is no escaping Johnny Hallyday here in France right now, whether you walk into a shop, a restaurant, turn on your television, no matter what the channel. It doesn't matter if it's one of those kind of dance stations or something, they're all playing Johnny Hallyday because he is seen as that important a figure here in France. Many people, the first that they heard of it came from the statement from his wife, Letitia, which she released saying that Johnny Hallyday is gone. I write these words without believing them. But she went on to say that he left us as he has lived throughout his life with courage and dignity. Lots of people going to her Instagram account to leave their messages of support for her. Many of them commenting on this particular photo from just a couple of months ago in October. And she put a message beside it saying, "Happy family, never give up." A real nod to his battle with cancer, which had been ongoing for quite some time. This, of course, was his second bout of cancer. He'd had colon cancer before, and he succumbed finally to lung cancer after a fairly lengthy battle. One of the other people to pay tribute to him today was Nicolas Sarkozy, the former French French president. And he actually is particularly relevant because he actually married Johnny Hallyday and Letitia back in 1996. Yes, when he was mayor of Neuilly-sur-Seine, he actually performed the nuptials, and he put out a message today on Twitter saying, "France is in mourning for a great artist, that irreplaceable voice. Johnny will leave a void that no one can ever fill." Now, as for other politicians, Emmanuel Macron has been talking about him too, releasing an homage in which he makes many veiled mentions to Johnny Hallyday's songs, including the one that many people have been doing today. We all have something of Johnny Hallyday in us. It's a reference to a song where he talked about we all have something of Tennessee in us. Lots of people doing that, but apparently there are 22 different quotes in there, nods to different songs by him, as was done by a restaurant in Arras. They changed their entire menu to make it as close as they could to many Johnny Hallyday songs. One of the sort of rather sweet homage to him. Another one that has caught an awful lot of attention is this one. On line 10, there is a station called Do Rock. There was a bit of a heads up that something was coming when line 10 tweeted hashtag Do Rock, but with a K on the end, and an image of Johnny Hallyday filming on the station platform back in the 1980s. And later on in the day, people went out employed by the RATP. This is an official thing. It's not people gone rogue. And they actually covered the Do Rock signs with Do Rock Johnny. And so it's been temporarily renamed. What is particularly interesting to note, though, is that they have actually stationed people to keep an eye on these things, because what they're thinking is that people, for souvenirs, for memories, might want to actually steal those because they will come off. So apparently they are being kept under a watchful eye.
Oh, you really can't underestimate what a big star he was in France. Literally everybody knows who he is. Some people absolutely love him. Outside France, or outside French-speaking countries, not so much.
No, very much not the case. It is...
Including you. You hadn't heard of him until recently.
Well, until I moved to France.
Yeah.
But yes, I had never heard of him before moving here, it has to be said. However, he has, I think it's fair to say, straddled many generations and many genres. It's just that he's somehow...
In leather trousers, no less.
Yes, indeed, which is no mean feat. Because when you look at some of the tributes online, some of the celebrities talking about them, Omar Sy, the French actor, saying that what luck, immense luck to have known you, a man who's unforgettable and exceptional. Very warm words. But then you get people like Lenny Kravitz weighing in, and it does seem almost peculiar. The coolest of the cool, saying, "Farewell, dear Johnny, your soul is pure rock and roll." Ed Sheeran as well, who actually appeared on French television with Johnny Hallyday not so long ago. I think it was about 5 years ago. On
Pops up everywhere, doesn't he, Ed Sheeran?
Absolutely. And he's published this photo on Instagram today in memory of him, saying, "So sorry to hear about the passing of Johnny Hallyday. I had the honour of playing with him, and he was a true gent. Thoughts are with his family and loved ones." You've also got people from the fashion industry, Jean-Paul Gaultier, and there he is in those leather trousers, as you mentioned. What he said is that we all have something of Johnny in us. It is part of our life, of our family. I love you. We love you forever. Now, he was also quite a sporty chap, well known for various things, including taking part in the Dakar Rally. They describe him here as a peer peerless adventurer. The French Football Federation talk about the singer, the rocker, and the fan of Les Bleus. And my personal brush with him was at this game at the Stade de France, Stade Francais versus Racing, the Paris derby. He came out with the rugby ball at the start of the game in 2011. That was so. Yes, he does cross certain genres, certain lines, but not international ones, it would appear. This woman summing up the feelings of a lot of British people and or English-speaking people in France. When you're a British person in France today, Johnny Hallyday dies, and the little gif saying, what is happening? Because he is everywhere, absolutely everywhere you look. Other people reminding us that actually he's far more than just the French Elvis, which is what many people are using as the sort of shorthand way to refer to him and explain who he is. This Twitter user pointing out that he helped to launch Jimi Hendrix's career in France. He knew the Beatles. He played with Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. And also you've got a photograph here of him with Mick Jagger, of course. But he never made that same transition that a lot of stars did in the 60s. And Les Anrock has a really interesting article talking about the way that it just hasn't translated across the channel in particular, saying England didn't often meet Johnny Hallyday. It was a story misunderstood, really misheard. And what they talk about in this article is the fact that he really didn't make that transition in the swinging 60s, despite the fact that people like Serge Gainsbourg did, and various other artists. But he describes the music here as unsellable and unsold in the UK, saying that like Marmite or Spotted Dick, two culinary, very English things, you have to be born with the power to swallow it without tasting it. So I'm not quite sure that that's a terribly flattering way to refer to Johnny Hallyday. Last few words on this one. This one, I think, just really made me chuckle. Stop everything. We have the best homage to Johnny Hallyday. And this is Jean-Pierre Raffarin, the former Prime Minister. And take a look at his imitation. He just happens to grab hold of a bit of a tree and uses it as a microphone to give us an idea of how Johnny Hallyday liked to perform. Le Parisien, though, gives probably the last word, I think, to the man himself, having unearthed this clip of an interview with him, asking him whether he had fixed a time when he was going to stop performing, he'd give up his career, and he said, yes, the day that I die. Aww. Well, his career may be over, but his legacy will live on.
Johnny Hallyday, a rock god to some, musical Marmite to others. Emma, thank you very much. Emma James there with MediaWatch. We're taking a short break here on